Hi and welcome to this SOLIDWORKS tutorial for a stained glass window. I will show you how you can utilise conveyor entities to create a multiple glass pane window design. I will also be using circular pattern, conic sketch and thin feature to create the intricate lead frame for the glass. Then for the fun part of the tutorial, relax and add colour to your window panes using appearances. To begin, start a new part. Start a new sketch onto the front plane and taking the circle, start from the axis and draw a 200mm circle. Add your dimension and close the sketch. Then, sketching onto the right plane, I'm going to create a sweep profile. Using the line, start from the top of the circle like this and draw a 4mm line out. Down by 1, then create an arc with the line by hovering over the point and create a semicircle with a 1mm radius. Go down from this by 1mm, then create another arc going back on itself, creating half a semicircle with a 0.75mm radius. Then in by 1mm, do another half semicircle going outwards with a 0.75mm radius. Go down from this by 1mm, then finally close off the profile. Adding some smart dimensions to the sketch. Firstly, define the starting point of the profile. Add a dimension from the top of the profile to the axis and ensure the dimension is 100mm. Following on, this edge should be 4mm. 1mm here, 1mm radius, and then a 1mm line. The overall height should be 6.5mm. This edge should be 1mm. The height of the arc should be 0.75mm, and the same for the other. Then add 1mm to this line. To fully define the sketch, add a width dimension here of 1mm to the arc. With the profile ready, go to Features and Sweep. Select the profile of the sweep, then the path here, and OK the feature. This creates the sweep design of the window moulding. To make the moulding look like individual pieces as you'd see on Gothic buildings, start a new sketch on the front plane and draw a line up from the axis to the top outer edge of the sweep. Then selecting Circular Pattern from the Linear Pattern drop-down, under Entities to Pattern, select the line if it's not already selected. The centre of the pattern should snap to the axis like this. Now change the instances of the pattern to 12 and OK. Then use Extrude Cut, change the cut type to Thin Feature and the direction of the thin feature to mid-plane. The dimension here should be 1mm. Within selected contours, select all 12 lines so that they highlight and give a yellow preview of the feature. Flip the direction of the cut extrude so that it goes through the part and OK it. Ensure you keep all bodies. Now I have 12 separate moulding blocks. To create the cement between the mouldings, I'm going to select an inner face of the cut and the boundary boss base. Select the opposite face so that the preview appears, and then drag the control points so that they run parallel to each other like this. It should snap to the points on the model. Before closing, untick the Merge Result box so that the boundary is a separate body. Before I can pattern the boundary, I need to make the temporary axis visible. Then go to Circular Pattern, check the Bodies to Pattern box here, then select the boundary body. For the pattern's axis, select this one. Ensure the instances is on 12 and OK the feature. With the outer window frame complete, it's time to start the inner lead window frame. Sketching onto the front plane, start with the circle and draw from the centre a 25mm circle, followed by a 175mm circle. Add some dimensions to these. Next, take the centre line and draw a line from the axis to the top of the smaller circle. Use this to draw a circle from the centre of the line, and circular pattern it with 4 instances to look like this. Circular pattern should automatically select the axis first for the centre of the pattern. Now draw a line 55mm vertically up from the 25mm circle. Add a dimension to it, then circular pattern this by 24 instances. To create the flower design, click into the drop down for the ellipse tool and select conic. Use the conic to join up these 2 points, then hover between them until a smart guide appears so that you know you're centre to the lines. Take the conic to here and click once. Then I can move up and down with the peak of the conic until I can see 0.75 as its row value. Then click again to create the conic. Use circular pattern to pattern the conic 24 times. This caps off the lines to look like a flower. Use the conic again to join the top 2 points of the patterned conics and create another conic curve with a row value of 0.75. The heights don't have to be perfect, I'm just doing this by eye. Pattern this again with 24 entities. Next, take the line and draw up from this conic point to the midpoint of this edge. Pattern this by 24 instances as well. Feel free to create your own window designs based around the modelling steps from this tutorial. You don't have to create the same design. Using a guideline, draw a line from this point and hover up to the window frame to reveal the smart guides, and join up the line to the circle. Then taking the conic again, go from here to the top of the centre line, droop down the conic to look like this, again creating a row value of 0.75 and OK. Use mirror entities to copy over the conic sketch from the centre line. I can then circular pattern these 2 entities with 12 instances. To create the smaller flower shape, use the conic to join up the centre points of the lines like this. Create the conic curve and circular pattern it by 24 instances. For the final use of the conic, join up the 2 top conic points here and add another conic curve. Circular pattern this one by 12 instances. Finally, use trim entities to cut away the inner lines of the conics like this. Ensure you do this for all 12 instances. With the design finished, you can close the sketch. Selecting the sketch, go to Extrude Boss. Change the Direction 1 dimension to 1mm. Check Thin Feature and ensure the Thin Feature dimension is also 1mm. Change the direction of the thin feature to mid-plane. Now, because of the complexity of the design, I'm extruding the design in stages starting from the centre. This is because SOLIDWORKS can slow down with so many selections. So under Selected Contours, start with the 4 inner circles. If I selected the circle surrounding these, the inner circle sketches extrude fully. So just do these 4 separate and OK the feature. To do the next stage, in the features tree, drop down the sketch from the thin feature and select it. Then go to Extrude again. Input all the same settings and dimensions like this. Then start selecting the outer entities around the circles. Ensure you are selecting the lines and not the inner contours of the sketch. It's best to try and do this in an order too. Once I get to this point, the selections are starting to take longer to do. So OK the feature ready for the last stage. Select the sketch and extrude again. Input the same settings, ensuring Merge Result is ticked and that the thin feature is mid-plane. Select all the remaining entities of the sketch. But before closing, under Feature Scope, click onto Selected Bodies and select the wireframe part here. This is so that the thin feature only merges to this body and not to all bodies. It's very important to do this. OK the feature to complete the wireframe. To create all the individual glass panes for the window, select the back face of the wireframe and New Sketch. Click off the face so that it's unselected, and then click onto Convert Entities. When the options open, you can select the face of the wireframe here. This option then becomes available to select all inner loops. Click onto this. All the inner loops will then appear in the Entities to Convert box. OK this to create a sketch of all the inner shapes of the design. The only loop that won't select is from the outer shape here, so I need to sketch and trace over to create the shape of this window piece like this. I can then use circular pattern with 24 instances to copy the sketch around the window. With the window glass sketch ready, extrude this, reversing the direction inwards. It should have a thickness of 0.5 mm. Ensure to untick Merge Result to keep all the window bodies separate. This feature may take a minute or two to complete. With the window panes extruded, save your part. You should be left with 193 separate solid bodies here. This is how you'll know that you've followed the tutorial correctly. For the appearances of my window, I'm selecting all the window mouldings from the solid bodies list and applying the sandstone appearance. I'm applying the tan sandstone to the concrete parts between each moulding. For the metal frame of the stained glass window, steel cold lead is normally used, so I'm applying a burnished steel to the frame, but changing its highlight colour here to a darker grey. Finally, selecting all the window panes onto solid bodies, I'm applying a frosted glass appearance. The window is now ready to have colour added. You could, if you had time, go through all the window pane bodies, selecting individual bodies to apply the coloured glass appearances to, but this would take too long for the purposes of this tutorial. So instead, I'm only selecting the front faces of the glass that I want to colour. Then go into Edit Appearance, selecting Frosted Glass again, and then choosing its colour. Once applied, I continue to make different face selections to colour in the window until all the panes are stained. Here are some renderings I created with the window using SOLIDWORKS Visualize. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thanks for watching.